You brought up supplements. Why don't I ask you a question that people would ask if they had the chance is, Mike, have you ever used any supplements, vitamins, protein, and do you recommend them to the people that you train one-on-one down at Gold's Gym?
When I was quite young, when I first started bodybuilding, I, like most people, read muscle magazines as if they were sacred scripture. I fell for their advertising blandishments, hook, line, and sinker. I took every protein powder, vitamin you can think of. I can remember my brother and I bring this up occasionally and we laugh about it. Remember the stuff Huffman used to sell called protein from the sea?
That was probably before my time, actually.
Well, some of you older listeners remember that. You're probably giggling because that was the most vile stuff I had ever smelled or tasted in my life. And a couple of times I remember my brother regurgitating the stuff after trying to get it down.
Is it a kelp or something? Or
no, it was some kind of fish that they freeze-dried and powdered or something or other. But later I went on to more seriously investigate the science of nutrition. I read several reputable nutritional scientists' works on the subject and came to understand that while the subject of nutrition is often confusing for people, it's actually quite simple. And I'm not seeking to oversimplify the subject of nutrition even slightly, Bill, when I say that all the individual really has to be concerned with is in obtaining a well-balanced diet daily. A well-balanced diet, by definition, listener, is one that provides your body with all the nutrients and calories it needs. Now, here's the important follow-up, Bill. The human body does not utilize nutrients beyond need. What happens when you consume more water than you need? You excrete it.
Right.
You don't have that same luxury with proteins, fats, and carbs because they contain calories.
Wouldn't that be nice, huh?
Yeah. What happens when you consume more calories than you need?
Fat.
Okay, now what do you need? Here's the important follow-up. What do you need calories and nutrients for in this context? To maintain your existing physical mass, number one, and number two, to provide for that negligible, this is the key term here, to provide for that negligible bit of growth that takes place even at best on a workout-to-workout basis. Bill, let's say you had the required genetics. You were going to train properly in the course of the next year, eat adequately, and gain 30 pounds of muscle. That is certainly a best-case scenario. As great as that is, 30 pounds of muscle, it only averages out to about an ounce a day, slightly more than an ounce. Realistically, Bill, how much extra protein, how many calories beyond your maintenance level do you really think you would need to provide for a mere 1 ounce of muscle growth a day, most of which is water?
Right.
Muscle is not mostly protein, it's mostly water, up to 72% in healthy individuals.
Right.
Not very much. In fact, I can explain to you how you can figure it out for yourself down to the exact calorie. It just so happens to be true that a pound of muscle, anybody's muscle, yours, mine, Joe Weider's, Jim Mannion's, whoever, contains about 600 calories. If you were to surgically remove a pound of your muscle and place it in a scientific measuring device known as a bomb calorimeter, it would yield 600 units of heat energy. Now, you're going to gain 30 pounds this year, right?
Dreaming.
How many extra calories beyond your maintenance requirements would you require in the course of a year? Would you need in the course of a year?
1,800?
18,000.
18,000.
You were a little weak in arithmetic. That's okay. So was I, but I loved English. 18,000 extra calories above your maintenance requirements per year. Not 18,000 extra calories a day, a week, or a month. 18,000 extra calories a year. Now, the listener, of course, is looking to devise or formulate for himself a daily dietary regimen, which is difficult to do based on yearly caloric considerations. In order to find out how many calories he would need daily beyond his maintenance requirements to provide for up to 30 pounds of muscle growth in a year, he would divide the number of days in a year, 365, into 18,000, and it comes out to 48 extra calories a day. Above maintenance requirements, only 48.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's been hypothesized that that's not perfectly accurate because there has to be some metabolic cost in the buildup of new muscle tissue. And if that's true, I don't know that it is, But taking that into account with whatever degree of accuracy we can, all right, triple it. 48 times 3 is 147. You need 147 calories a day above your maintenance requirements to provide for the gains on a daily basis that would result in a 30-pound gain of muscle in the course of a year. Now, I'm not suggesting necessarily that everybody sit down and figure out their daily calorie intake down to the exact calorie. I bring this up to point out that you don't have to force feed yourself hundreds of extra grams of protein a day beyond need or thousands of extra calories. All you really have to do is consume a well-balanced diet, which again, by definition, is one that provides your body with all the nutrients it needs. And the human body does not utilize nutrients beyond need.
Right.
If you needed 25 milligrams of vitamin C a day, for instance, and you were to take a vitamin C supplement that gave you up to, let's say, 3,000 milligrams a day, that would not force your body to utilize even one more milligram than it needs, or 26. The concept of need is crucially important in the context of both nutrition and training. An individual should not train beyond need, Bill. Remember, we're looking for the least, the precise amount necessary. Any more than that is overtraining. Likewise, the individual should not consume calories and nutrients beyond need. Now, what does he need those again for? For maintaining his existing physical mass and provide for that little bit of growth that takes place even at best on a workout-to-workout basis. And even at best is negligible. You're not going to gain 5 pounds a week or 20 pounds a month in most cases unless you're grossly underweight to begin with. At best, you're going to gain probably 30 pounds of muscle in a year. The average bodybuilder would probably be more realistic to expect to gain 10 to 15 pounds of muscle in a year, which actually ain't bad. Some people scoff at that. They think it's perhaps not even worth considering, when in fact it's a considerable amount of tissue. Take a moment, dear listener, and visualize sitting in front of you on your dinner table a single individual 1-pound beefsteak. You know how big a single pound of steak is. Now imagine 12 of them. That's a lot of muscle. Now take 1 pound and put it on your left pec. Take another pound and put it on your right pec. If you were to sustain that rate of growth, 12 pounds a year for 2 years, of course you'd end up with 24 pounds of muscle. Imagine 24 individual 1-pound beefsteaks sitting in front of you on your dinner table. That's a lot.
That's for sure.
Now, interesting to note here, most bodybuilders, Bill, are already grossly overnourished. They're getting a lot more protein than they need for maintenance or growth, more vitamins, more minerals, more carbohydrates, and they're still not growing.
Right.
This is a clear indication that nutrition is not the problem. If you're overnourished, by definition, you've covered all your nutritional bases. You're overnourished. What could possibly be missing? Now, if you were to point this out to most bodybuilders, it would have little impact on their consciousness. They seem to be running around with some fuzzy notion that they're missing some magical supplement or magical combination of nutrients. If you're overnourished or even just well-nourished, consuming a well-balanced diet, then you've covered all your nutritional bases. What can you possibly be missing? See my point?
So where do you think the concept of this high-calorie force-feeding thing came from?
A guy named John Perillo, apparently, who a while back made the capricious assertion that there is no such thing as overtraining, only undereating, which is ridiculous.
I read that.
His approach to bodybuilding, by the way, is the antithesis of mine. I call my approach a rational approach. With a rational approach to bodybuilding, you understand the crucial significance of the concept need. The concept of need is of crucial epistemological importance, which means intellectual or logical importance. If you don't understand the concept of need, you can't formulate a proper theory of bodybuilding, of training and nutrition. You should not train beyond need. If you do, you overtrain and lose muscle.
Right.
If you eat, consume calories and nutrients beyond need, you grow fat.
That's for sure.
With Perillo's approach, you end up losing muscle and gaining fat. It's an irrational approach. It's the black hole of bodybuilding. Remember I brought up the concept of a black hole?
Right.
I said this is not a dark age. Dark is dark. Black is black. That approach is literally black. That is the black hole of bodybuilding. It's the antithesis of mine. It's an irrational approach. You don't want to train beyond need. That is overtraining. You don't want to consume nutrients beyond need. That's overeating, at least to the deposition of body fat. It achieves the exact opposite of the desired result.
That's for sure.
That idea contradicts every well-established fact in this context, in the context of building a better body, using weights, and eating an adequate, well-balanced diet. If you were to go to medical school or college to study nutritional science, you would understand, you would come to understand, you would learn what I stated to you at the outset of this portion, that all the individual really has to be concerned with regarding nutrition is in getting a well-balanced diet every day. This is something you probably learned about, as I did, Bill, and many of the listeners in high school. Our high school health teachers taught us that we should get well-balanced diets. It was determined at the end of World War II by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, presumably an unbiased, objective organization with no vested interest in hawking nutritional supplements to the unenlightened, by the way, that a well-balanced diet could be obtained by the individual consuming a certain number of portions each day from the 4 basic food groups: cereals and grains, fruits and vegetables, meat, fish and poultry, milk and dairy products. If an individual is overnourished and he's not making progress, then it's obvious nutrition ain't the problem. The problem is lack of a proper training methodology. In fact, most bodybuilders have this reversed. They have failed to understand the actual relationship between training and nutrition. They have it reversed. Training is the first requirement, not nutrition.
Correct.
It is only within the context of first having stimulated growth through proper training that nutrition then becomes a consideration.
Absolutely.
You can take all the amino acids or Medrex or vitamins or whatever else they're selling here these days. I don't care how much you take, in what quantities. You could consume the greatest diet in the world, figured out by the most sophisticated supercomputer. If you don't give your body a good reason to grow, if you don't enact the necessary causes, those causes required to set the growth process into motion, and if you don't properly regulate the volume and frequency of your training so that you're not preventing the body from producing the increase, then it doesn't matter what you eat.
Right.
Or what you don't eat. It doesn't matter. Training is the first requirement. Nutrition is only a secondary factor.